Talk Radio. You're in to all things music.
Welcome to Music Gear Talk. Discover the tech that inspires the pros and powers today's music industry.
We are into another episode of Music Gear Talk, powered by the mighty Talk Radio. We just want you to connect to the music industry through us here. My name is Florentino Buenaventura, and it is a lovely Monday morning here. And as always, we've got some incredible gear to talk about. The tech that powers the music industry. I almost feel like it's kind of like a Monday morning cartoon, or Saturday morning cartoon, I should say, not Monday morning, where this tech is going to save the world. So we have a very cool company. They're here in California, not too far away from us if we go up north a little bit. Vanguard Audio Labs with Derek Bargaehr. Hey, Derek, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Beautiful Monday morning. How about you guys?
Good. Yeah, it is a beautiful Monday morning. I almost feel bad about saying that because I know some other parts of this country and this world just doesn't quite have the weather we have here in Southern California, man.
Oh, absolutely not. A little bit of rain this morning, and now it's like 70 degrees, blue skies. Like, I can't complain about anything of that nature.
Oh, really? I didn't get any of that. Maybe that was just up in your neck of the woods. I got up, it was sunny, the morning peeked through the windows, and we didn't have any of the rain. I think it's a little windy now that it's kind of kicked into it. I'm looking at the trees on the outside kind of kick in, but maybe we should do a whole radio on the weather, man.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think anybody has that covered, right? That'd be a brand new segment.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
The Weather Channel. Who would have thought, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Well, hey, man. As the wind blows, we are talking about microphones, and that's all about air and all these other different things that kind of pass through, and you make some incredible high quality microphones that some of the greatest studio engineers and producers, Grammy winners, I looked at your collection of your family, as you put it on your website, and it's pretty amazing on all those different players. But before we jump into that, I always like to start off at the beginning because that really tells the tale. How did you get into this business? What was the passion that drove you to get into this insane world of high-end microphones, and what's the philosophies, all that fun stuff? Tell us about that, Derek.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it short because it's a long tale, but it kind of starts with me as a kid just taking apart anything I could get my hands on, much to my parents' chagrin and fear, because usually it was still plugged in, and learning how electricity works at 7 and 8 years old, sometimes the hard way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And you created your own version of the punk rock hairdo through electricity.
Oh, absolutely. I look like Rick Smith from Rick and Morty some of the time, I guess. Yeah, I was always fascinated by the inside of how things work, whether it was cars or really electricity. And then I started playing music in high school. Like many people, my friends were like, "Let's start a band." And like most bands that in high school, we were terrible. But I noticed that the guitarists had these cool pedals that made their guitars sound really cool. And as a bassist, there weren't a lot of bass pedals out there yet. Yeah. And I said, I really want to make my bass sound cool rather than working on my technique like I should have been doing. I started modifying guitar pedals for bass frequencies. I still have some of those on my pedal board, a Big Muff Pi, a Russian Big Muff Pi that I've modified the tone stack and the in and outs so that it sounds great on bass. It's one of my favorite little secret weapons. But
I'm a bass player too, and I haven't used as much distortion as I probably would want to. I don't have guitar envy like some of my other compatriots, but I do know that that's a sound that's been kind of coming into at least some of the rock world of today. So that's cool.
Oh, for sure, man. And I was always intrigued by it. And then as I got deeper and deeper and started learning Ohm's law and Kirchhoff's voltage law and all that fun stuff, I started making my own modifications rather than following instructions online and then designing my own pedals. So I ended up going to college as a music major and got in and quickly realized that out of the 200 something people in my program, I was probably the worst, hands down, at actually making music, but I was a great facilitator. And that's kind of how I got into audio engineering and production. And, people would bring me their guitar that had a busted jack or a microphone that wasn't working properly. And
you became everyone's best friend really quickly then.
Yeah, absolutely. The gear repair guy, one of my professors, Mike Lee, gave me his Jupiter 8 to try and fix a flat oscillator. Man. That was an adventure.
Talking about a classic piece, and that he gave you latitude to work on that, because that thing's worth a chunk of money now.
Oh, definitely. And it was a scary adventure opening it up. I don't think at that point I'd ever worked on anything that valuable. So I sent him a picture of me holding a hammer over the JP8. Like, am I doing it right? He really liked that. I don't know why I failed his class that semester, actually. But yeah, so I that's how I got my toes dipped in the water of audio engineering. And I've always had a pretty natural ear, just growing up in a musical family and listening to music all my life, and having a critical ear towards tone and why things sound good, and the subjective art and the objective science of it. So I needed an internship at a college, and I didn't want to work in a studio and scrub toilets and do coffee runs. So I'd already done that. And
can I ask you about what time this was, not to give away age and everything?
Oh yeah. This was 2007, 2008.
Okay.
I think. And I had been using microphones by this company called Avant Electronics.
Yeah.
And they were the first people that said, we can make a decent microphone out of China that's consistent, and make it for a price that doesn't, make you mortgage a kidney. Because that was the options I had back in college, was either I get the $99 microphone that you have to work on in the mix until, your plug-in chain is as long as your arm, or you sell your firstborn kid and you get a fantastic microphone. And they were making a reasonable price, know. And so I actually contacted them and said, I need an internship. You get 120 free hours of labor. I get class credits. And they were like, that sounds great. They brought me in, and the guy who started it, his name is Ken Avant. And they liked me so much right out of that they hired me and said, work as many hours as you can until you're out of college, and then we're going to hire you full time. So I was the director of operations at that small company, which basically was just kind of a little bit of everything. And Ken taught me all he knew about microphone design, and I got to help with some of the design work. And long story short, financially speaking, the defecation hit the oscillation at that particular company. And so he no longer has anything to do with that company. And he called me a few years later and said, hey, Derek, I'm ready to do this again. I've got great ideas. And now that the manufacturing has gotten so much better and we know where to go for certain parts, and if we make our supply chain horizontal, we can really make great microphones that are the best microphones that you can buy under $1,000. And I said, let's do it. I love doing this, and I want to do it for the rest of my life. So we've been in a company for about 5 years and planning and developing, but we've only been selling mics for about a year and a half, because we put a lot of effort into R&D, because we're pretty critical about making a good microphone and making sure it's not a clone of anything, just the best possible thing we can do. We're a little bit exhaustive, I think is the word, with R&D, which frustrates people on our release dates, but I'm like, get it right or don't do it at all. There's enough microphones out there, and we want to be making the very best microphone we can. So anyway, that's the long version that I tried to make short, I guess.
Well, that's a great story, man. And that's, like I said, being a bass player, and, we never get a chance to do tech. Somehow or another, I ended up running a radio network. Go figure.
Yeah. You end up wearing so many hats in this industry, and I don't think it's fair as a bass player to say we've never done tech, because how many times did you carry guitarists and drummers gear back and forth during a gig? You're a bassist, you can understand, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's tech.
And I had a pedal board. I just never had the aptitude to really tear it apart. My partner in crime is really good with that, though sometimes they don't always get back together when he tears them apart. But for the most part,
I know that feeling.
That's Paul who did the engineering there, and it's amazing where we kind of gravitate in this industry. And I like to tell these stories because the listeners, are often, some of the people who are wanting to figure out how to make it in this business. And it's not always about being the bass player for your favorite rock band or you're creating that, the next Beatles or anything of that nature. There are other things where you can find, a place within the industry, and that's kind of interesting. I kind of want to do a shout out. You guys on your website, you had a special award dedicated to a couple of the people that really kind of helped to grow the company, Glenn Hefner and Marty Druckman, and you have a memorial scholarship fund. And I want you to tell us a bit about that and the gentlemen that kind of helped you guys grow this company, and they're no longer with us, but their spirit is still making an impact.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I wanted to bring it up and somehow sneak it in, and you just nailed it for me. So these two fellas were part of the original Vanguard team. A lot of people knew Glenn Hefner, and a lot of people knew Marty. They're just guys that knew everyone, always had a smile on their face, always had these incredible stories about their lives in music because they've done everything from touring to teching to running studios. And Glenn passed away pretty suddenly in 2016, and then Marty passed away in 2017. So we've had really poor luck with that. And I've told everybody else in the company that I'm writing into their contracts that they're not allowed to die because I'm really sick of losing friends, And you mentioned earlier the Vanguard family, and that's really the only way I know how to do business. I know a lot of companies say, "Oh, welcome to the family, welcome to the family," but this ended up somehow being my favorite part of the company was the relationships, and the relationships that we had with Glenn and Marty were quite special and meant a lot to us, and they did so much for us and so much for the industry that we wanted them to continue to have an impact and a legacy. So the deadline on this is April 30th. I almost said 31st, but that's not a day. Yeah. And basically it's a small scholarship towards your music education. We like audio engineering and audio production type students, but we also consider musicians as well, singer-songwriters and performance majors and things like that.
It's all starting to blur anyway, right? A lot of these guys are having to become engineers as well as performers.
100%. I could go into why, we do our best to keep our prices where they're at for that exact same reason, but I'll try not to get off topic here. So $500 scholarship towards the education, as well as one of our microphones. And we feel like it's something we can do to help Glenn and Marty have a continued impact on the industry because they impacted everybody they met and they were such wonderful people. And we just want them to continue to have an effect.
Yeah. Well, I think the quality is going to speak for itself, and we're going to jump into that in this next segment. We got about a minute left in this segment. How can people find out more? Obviously, you've got the website, which I'll give out, Vanguard Audio Labs, and that's VanguardAudiolabs.com. So make sure you guys go there. You get a chance to see all the different products, find out a bit. If you're interested in getting a scholarship, you can definitely go in there and apply right there on the homepage and find out more about the family, which are all the people who use the gear, and then of course about Derek and the team there. So what are some of the other ways people can find out about you guys?
I'm really active on social media because I have a lot of fun during the day and I go stir crazy here when it's just me and my dogs working in the office. So Vanguard Audio Labs on Instagram, Vanguard Audio on Twitter, and Vanguard Audio Labs on Facebook. You can also, check out some of our reviews on YouTube, online, Pro Tools Expert, I believe Recording Magazine was one of our early ones. Tape Op. They all did, unbiased reviews on our mics, which we were really happy that they gave us a shout out. So
very cool, very cool. Well, folks, you need to stay tuned because we're going to be getting into the actual gear. I know that I've been tempting you guys, but like I said, the back end story needs to be discussed because the passion, the heart, the soul behind all this gear needs to be known before you even pick one up. So we'll be right back. This has been Music Gear Talk. My name is Florentino. I'm here with Derek of Vanguard Audio Labs. Stay tuned in a few minutes.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on intertalkradio.com.
Welcome to Music Gear Talk. Discover the tech that inspires the pros and powers today's music industry.
It's the second segment of Music Gear Talk, and we are on the Intertalk Media Network, where we connect to all things music. And I just wanted to let people know that we've got a number of shows here on the network that they should check out. We got Jackie's Groove, and this week Jackie will be having Bobby G, the guitar player for such notables as Lionel Richie, with Tina Marie, The Time. He's done some work with Prince and Mariah Carey. The list goes on. And he's going to talk. He's got crazy stories, so you guys got to tune in for that. We also have Will Lee, the bass player for David Letterman for many years. And, of course, if you've got the samples, Will Lee is an iconic player, kind of a rock star in his own right. And he is actually going to be both on Facebook Live in a video, as well as he'll be here those are all this Wednesday. I should probably clarify that, right? It's going to be this Wednesday with Jackie at 12 to 2, and then from 3 to 4 with Will on Making It with Terry Woolman. And then we've got some other great shows happening. Actually, today, too, we got Jackie with a emerging artist that Miles Vargas will be on with him today. So we've got a few different ones. And, of course, before I get going here, I want to give a shout-out to our sponsors, and that is Pitbull Audio at pitbullaudio.com. Pitbull Audio just wants you to play it loud and never let go. Make sure that you keep that passion and that dream alive. And Calvin and Adam and the rest of the crew over there are, musicians that have been really passionate about this industry, and they started this juggernaut that is really doing some pretty cool innovations. We've been a part of those with things like virtual clinics, being able to attend a clinic even though you're not in that same city, to tons of gear previews. Check out their YouTube page. And then SIR at SIR-USA.com. Those folks are amazing. They basically have powered anytime we need to do any type of live events. They're the ones who provide the back end audio. They do backline. They also do corporate sound. So check them out. And now we can jump in back into this conversation that we've been having with Derek and his company Vanguard Audio, and talk a little bit about the product. We got some history on Derek and some of the people that have helped him propel this company, and the reputation is impeccable in this industry. And they've predominantly been with you've got to go to some pretty high end audio retailers to get their stuff. But the pricing is not in that particular category, but the quality is. Tell us a little bit about the microphones that you currently have, and some of the history of some of the other ones, Derek, and and what the price points are.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So our flagship is the V13, and that's the one that most people have heard of. That's a tube microphone, and I get the question all the time because, unfortunately, this is an industry of clones. They say, "Oh, what is it a clone of?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not a clone of anything." The one thing I really like about working with Ken, who does the design work, is that he's not really a cloner. He's not really looking to the past and saying, let's make something that's identical to this piece of gear. He says, what can we make that's new and different and helpful that we would use on our own music in our own studios? So the V13, when we started development, which took about 3 years, we said, okay, what are our favorite vintage mics and why? So we kind of like the top end. Well, not kind of. We really like the top end of an AKG, or not AKG, a Telefunken Elam 251, the original, that was very velvety smooth, and there's something about the mid-range of a C800G that's forward without being super aggressive, and then obviously the ooey gooey warmth and the low mids of a U47. And we said, okay, how do we combine those into a single microphone, and how do we do it under $1,000? So that took us 3 years of trial and error, and we ended up with a custom voice capsule. Ken designed the capsule, and it's not like any other capsule in the world. Edge terminated, 3 microns thick on the diaphragm, which is about half the thickness of most microphones. So it's super sensitive. The tube we discovered has never been used commercially in a microphone before. We keep that one kind of a close to the vest, a secret part of the recipe. We are cryogenically treating a bunch of components in the signal and power path, which leads to ridiculously low noise for a tube mic. We actually measured it at 13 dB A-weighted, which is lower than a lot of FET mics, actually, high-end solid-state microphones. Normally, when people think of tube mics, they think, well, what's the noise level like? And we're like, well, it's actually really low. And part of that is the cryogenics. And we did a custom-wound transformer coming out of the microphone. The power supply is hot rodded, 9 polar patterns, and it's 749 street in the US. And like I was talking about in the first segment, we really just want people to be able to afford our gear. When we first started selling it, and when we first started demoing it to engineers, they said, how much is this again? You could sell this for $2,500 and it would be a steal. And I said, well, but we don't want to price people out of it. We want people to be able to make music with it. So one of our big goals is to make it affordable, because like you said, the new generation of audio engineers is also musicians. Hit records are being made in bedrooms and basements and garages. And I love old microphones, and I love microphones that are $5,000, $10,000, but not everybody can afford them, myself included.
Right.
We want to keep it to where the average musician and the new wave of musicians can afford it, even though there's guys like Dave Way and Gabe Veltri and Steve Lindsay and Ray Kennedy and all these incredible engineers that absolutely love the microphone. So that's our flagship there. Yeah.
And like you said, the tube microphone is usually going to run you, at least a decent one is going to run you in a couple of grand range. So that's pretty awesome to hear. And you've got with that, you've got a couple of other ones as well. So you've got the stereo version. Is it pretty much the same design but in a stereo pattern, or what? How does that work? Actually, no. It uses the same capsule, which is the heart of a microphone, but the head amp it runs through basically has a lot to do with it. So that one's actually a solid state transformerless design. I would have loved to make that tube, but it was already very difficult for me to design the PCBs because it's 2 fully independent circuits inside of there. So the stereo microphone is transformerless FET, and it's 3 patterns on each side. But what I really like about that is you can do Blumline, XY, mid-side, dual omni, like all these different stereo techniques within one phase line microphone. And we looked at the market and we said, there's really not
any affordable, great stereo mics. And the one thing we really disliked about all stereo microphones, the new ones and the old ones, is the rotation mechanisms are so finicky and so fragile. So we actually designed one from the ground up that's punch steel and ball bearings, and it's detinted every 15 degrees. And I like to show people, I'll whack the thing against a desk and say, it's not going to break on you. It's not going to come apart on you. And we just try and make it durable because it was one of our least favorite things about any stereo microphone we've ever used.
Yeah, the sensitivity of adjusting the pattern.
Absolutely. So that angle adjustment was very important for us. And that one's actually 649 Street, which is even less than the V13, but we don't have a tube power supply and the tube to worry about. So it was a little easier to make that one even more affordable. And that one's also been a big hit. When we first made it, we said, this is going to be a niche product, but it's going to be our niche product. And we really like it. And then we sold out of them in like 2 months. So I'm getting all the parts in from all my different suppliers for another run of them. And that's an adventure in and of itself, managing this, managing the supply chain. So,
well, you've got the single brother of that with the V4, and we've got about 2 minutes, so we want to make sure we kind of get all of the rest of these products in. So the V4, it's a similar, but it's a single pattern.
No, it's actually multi-pattern, but because I had extra room, because I didn't have to cram 2 full circuits in there, I was able to add a roll-off and a pad on the rear end of it. But it's basically a single version, the V4. And that one's coming out hopefully in March, fingers crossed. Okay. And the other one that you probably are going to mention next is actually the V1, and we're quite excited about that. 5 capsules, 1 microphone, and it's going to be small capsules and large capsules. And we have the world's first multi-pattern large capsule removable assembly, which we're quite excited about. So you can see that one. It's really hard to explain in words. You can see the pictures on the website and kind of get an idea of what we're talking about.
Yeah. I encourage you guys again to go to VanguardAudiolabs.com and check this out. Yeah, because you could use it either as a instrument mic or a like you said, a speaking mic. We're out of time here, Derek. I appreciate this. We got about a minute left. What do you want people to leave this interview, knowing and feeling about your company?
If my big thing is, if you have any questions, call me 909-920-5600. It's just me in the office.
That's crazy talk. Call somebody.
Yeah. Imagine that. An analog meeting in a digital age is what I call it. But, call me, or email me, Derek@VanguardAudiolabs.com. If you have any questions. We always want to be accessible. And if you ever have any questions about our design process or our products, I'm happy to answer them and talk to another human being. Like I said, it's just me and my dogs in the office, so I go a little stir crazy in here building mics all day. So, and go hear them on the website. Go read reviews. I'm obviously biased because I put years of heart and soul and blood and sweat and tears into it.
Hey, Derek, here we go. This is the end. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next show.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbehr from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbehr.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?